This is my commentary on my performance of W.B. Yeats' The Second Coming, which I read last night. Um, so I just wanted to start this one with a bit of the historical context of when the poem was written, and then I think I'll talk about some of Yeats's beliefs and how the ideas and values that I tried to reflect in the poem and the techniques that I tried to sort of emphasize, or what I see as the main techniques in the poem, and how they relate to the main ideas in the poem. So this poem was written just after World War One. So it's written in a society which has just seen the biggest sort of mass slaughter of people in war in Western living memory, perhaps in all of Western history up to this point. Devastation has just been seen on a scale unimagined. Yeats, and so there's that sort of, before I get to Yeats' personal context, there's that sort of historical context around it that we've just seen. The world shake, things change significantly, and everybody's kind of reeling, I think, and in shock over the full magnitude of what's happened. Yeats himself was a bit of a mystic. He believed in, I'm not sure how to quickly summarize his mystical beliefs, but he believed that that the world sort of worked in cycles, and that we were coming to the end of a 2,000-year cycle of human history that had sort of begun with the birth of Christ, and now we were coming towards a time of renewal, and that something new was going to take its place. Now, there's a line in the second stanza, which is, "A vast image out of spiritus mundi troubles my sight." And what he's talking about there is like spiritus mundi means the feeling or the sentiment of the whole world. So what Yeats is talking about there is like there's this whole human collective consciousness that's sort of creating this image that he then uses. This is also a modernist poem, like the other one that I performed, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. So it's about reappropriating or inverting old symbols. There's this sense of society breaking down, which is very prevalent in this poem. But he's also innovating with the form. I tried to capture this sense of society sort of falling apart, which is, I think, at the heart of this slightly apocalyptic sort of vision that Yeats gives us by starting calmly and sort of trying to illustrate the gyre, which is a spiral. So, and that was also a symbol that Yeats was quite fond of in his mysticism, but let's not make too much of that. My performance was trying to sort of capture the calmness at the beginning, like this sense of things slowly falling apart, and then like I tried to ramp up the sense of anxiety and almost not anger, but danger, like the sense that what is changing and coming is not necessarily positive. There's this negative second coming, if you like. So Yeats gives the traditional Christian image of the second coming, which is a joyful, much desired event. You know, justice will be done, all will be restored and right again. And he inverts it to this, like, there is going to be a change coming, but we do not know what it is, and it's a rough beast which slouches towards Bethlehem to be reborn. So it's quite an ominous symbol, if you like. So I see the main idea of this poem is about society breaking down. The central thing that he's like expressing in the first stanza is all about traditions, all of these sort of all of these cultural things that have held us together. Now the ceremony of innocence, it's all being drowned and lost. There's the falcon not hearing the falconer is like the falcon is traditionally meant to be under the control of the falconer, but because it's turning and turning, like in this increasing spiral, it sort of goes out of range of the falconer. So it's like all of our traditional moral compass waypoints have been lost, essentially. We've strayed too far from the original truth of things, or from, if you want to read it give it a Christian reading, it's like people have strayed too far from their spiritual guidance from the Holy Spirit, from all of those sort of things, and things are now starting to break down. We've got this sense of like there's no solid morality in this society, where he talks about the best lacking all conviction. So the people who are good and moral don't speak like they mean it, but the worst people, which are readers, the people who are the most malicious, the most greedy, they're the ones who are full of passionate intensity. Makes me think of Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying. And then in the second paragraph, we have this sense that this all has to end somewhere. All of this society, we're teetering on the brink here, and there's this sense of there has to be a change, but when the change comes, it's not positive. So we've got this idea that something new is going to come, but we don't know what it is. And he uses this ominous sort of image of a desert and a sphinx sort of rising up and slouching towards Bethlehem to be reborn, as this very powerful symbol which has all these negative connotations given into it. A desert strikes me as an image of from Yeats's context particularly, being hot, barren. We have gazers blank and pitiless as the sun. So he uses all of these traditional symbols, but then inverts them. He takes all of these images of animals, of tides, in the first stanza, water, and they sort of create this hostile imagery. The poem itself has iambic rhythms, iambic beat throughout it to create a sense of rhythm, but it's not a regular meter, and so that also helps to create this sort of jarring dissonance. There's one or two sort of instances where there's close rhyme, but it's so far apart that I didn't feel it was worth emphasizing. So we've got Desert Sands, Man. In the first stanza we have Chaos is unleashed. The center cannot hold, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. So it's not even full rhymes. We've got near rhymes in both of them. And these sort of that sort of teasing of a rhyme, the effect is almost it's almost more disconcerting in that, every now and then you catch this glimpse of something and it's not quite there. It's almost like a mirage. Perhaps it sort of parallels the dropping away of older traditional values, in the sense that we have these vestiges of what we traditionally had. Like in poetry, we traditionally have a lot of rhyme. All we have now is these half sort of fragments of it. We used to have traditional values, and now all we have is these remnants of them. So I tried to sort of, back to my performance to conclude, because this is going on a bit long. I tried to capture this sort of apocalyptic feel of the poem, and I tried to sort of make my performance capture the despair that Yeats feels about the change of society. Thank you.